Welcome back to this very
What is
special
happening?
Yeah.
What is happening?
First off, we weren't planning on making this episode.
No.
We literally just wrapped up recording another show, and we started talking about this, and we're like, hold on, let's hit the record button and have this conversation. Huge spoilers for everything MCU, everything Loki, episode 4 right now. We better get this up quick because we're already halfway through the week of Loki episode 4 going out. But, yeah, Loki episode 4 happened. Mike, how blown was your mind on a scale of 1 to 8?
I was well, oh goodness, yeah, that's a great. Probably, I wouldn't say like completely blown, but probably a 7. Like, it was out there. I didn't expect this. I partially expected it when they killed off Mobius. I'm like, they're not gonna kill off Owen Wilson, would they? But then I thought they could probably kill him off.
Did I say spoilers?
Yeah, you said spoilers.
Okay, good. All right, good.
But yeah, and then they killed off Loki. Then I'm like, okay, they're not gonna kill off. I mean, there's a little part of me that's just like, what if this is just all Is it Sylvie? That's not her name. Yeah, it's all just Sylvie's tale. She's actually the main character, and our introduction to her was through the eyes of our Loki that we know and love.
Oh.
But now it's just her story. I'm like, I got this all wrong. But then, of course, they come out with this end credit scene of Loki. Okay, yeah, you want to describe it? Or
No, let me give my out of 8, and then we can
let's do that. Sorry.
So I think, as soon as Owen Wilson got kerschnuffled, I went from a level 3 mind blown to like a level 5. And then when we got to the Timekeepers, and I was 100% called it, and I was expecting the Wizard of Oz reveal of the Timekeepers, so that wasn't a surprise to me. But then after Loki got pruned, let's just say I went to like a 6.5, 7, and then the end credit scene took me to a full 8. My mind was blown. My mind has been blown.
Yeah.
I don't have any other way to say it. 8 out of 8. There we go. I'm giving an 8 out of 8 review.
Wow.
This not for the whole movie. This is Nick's mind blown-o-meter is also out of 8. Which
gotcha.
Is confusing, but I was out of 8.
Yeah, let's not confuse the two then. Yeah, my working theory was that we speculated on the mid-season review that we had that Robert E. Grant was going to be playing some major role. I don't know if we speculated that he was going to be a big villain. But when we saw the Timekeepers, I'm like, oh, he's the guy in the middle. It kind of looks like his face. That's definitely Robert E. Grant. I totally called it. And then they nix him. I'm like, well, I heard that there's an end credits scene, and he's only a robot, so they're probably going to actually show the real Timekeeper, Robert E. Grant, and we're going to have this exposition of, see, I'm still alive, and we're going to get these Lokis or whatever, or this one last Loki. But instead, we get New York skyline with Loki waking up to other Lokis in front of him. And none other than Robert E. Grant as classic Loki, the originally drawn Loki from Stan Lee. The whole costume garb, spandex and all that, huge horns, looking down at Loki, who's bewildered at the sight of a alligator Loki, a child Loki, a big burly black Loki with a giant piston weapon.
Yeah, it's a knockoff Mjolnir, I think, from the comics.
I guess so. And then Robert E. Grant as classic Loki, just
yeah,
astounding.
It was mind blowing.
Do you have a favorite moment from that episode, Nick?
Yeah, the moment where Owen Wilson is flipping, and like we get to see
the gears turning in his head.
Yeah, it's like it goes from him being like, "Oh wow, the god of tricks is trying to trick me again. Here, go and marinate a little bit more in your worst memory ever," which, by the way, is kind of
they brought back Lady Sif. We haven't seen her since Dark World, in which my wife and I were just like, "She's back!" What? It was hilarious because it's just like a time loop, and you're like, oh, this is terrible, but also hilarious because he just keeps on getting kneed in the balls. You're just like, oh. But so it was probably that scene, the time loop.
Yeah.
Or no, it was Mobius
starting. It was all of Mobius flipping and going from the I have this small seed of doubt, but I know who I am as a TVA worker, to that seed of doubt sprouting and then growing and then blossoming all in one episode and then it dying. And it was just like,
And we
wow.
don't just get one, we get two of these type of scenarios. We get it with Mobius and then Hunter B-15, I think.
B-15, yeah, I think.
Yeah, in which, what happened to her? Like, the last we saw her, she was fighting two of the guards, and then...
She got pruned.
She did? I don't remember the scene.
I think she did. I've only watched it once.
Okay, me too, but I don't remember seeing her disintegrate. I just remember seeing her in the background fighting the other two guards.
I'm fairly sure she got pruned or stabbed, maybe. I can't remember.
Okay.
But she wasn't... I don't know. I don't know. I think she died. I'm going to see if I can scroll through that real quick. And just
Arguably, I'd say this should have been the mid-season finale, quote-unquote. Like, the other one... You guys got my review. I wasn't a fan of it. It's just like, okay, they run around. It's a cool one-shot-ish spectacle. But it's not really helping me in terms of the story. And I kind of already knew that probably the TVA was going to intervene. Not for the reasons that they did. They intervened because a Loki was falling in love with a Loki, which apparently is universe-breaking for some reason. Apparently you can't love yourself.
Kind of weird.
Come on, Marvel. You can love yourself. But maybe not in the way that I'm saying it and thinking it.
I would be careful there, Mike.
What happens when a Loki makes a baby with another Loki?
Family-friendly show, Mike. Family-friendly show.
Huh. Where do babies come from?
Loki cubed?
That's like 4 cubed dimensional realities of Loki.
He just becomes the fifth dimensional being.
No. I'm done with fifth dimensional beings. If anyone can notice my shirt and how it connects to another movie that we reviewed. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff in this episode.
Yeah. I feel like as much as the third episode was about the character development between Loki and Sylvie or Sylvia?
I think it's Sylvie.
Sylvie. Between Loki and Sylvie. As much as that episode was really about this, you needed that episode, even though it doesn't feel as action-packed, right? We needed to understand why Loki fell for Sylvie. We need to understand why they are so similar but yet so different, right? And we needed that episode of breather room. I will say, I guess episode 4 kicks off with them getting saved from the doomed planet. That was the most boring option possible. I mean, if I had to rate all of the cool options that they could have gotten off that planet with, that would have been literally at the bottom, the TVA saving them.
It would have been funnier if Stark saved them. Tony Stark
I was waiting for like Captain Marvel or something. You know how like Captain Marvel saves Tony at the beginning of Endgame? It's like I was just waiting for something like that.
Captain Marvel just comes in and saves Loki's.
Yeah, or just like the time stone reversing the whatever. I don't know. I was looking forward to something a little bit bigger, but it's fine.
We didn't get an explanation for the time stone ish scene as well with Loki like making a building go backwards. I don't know. We also figured out that Sylvie lied in this episode because she said that she didn't really have much knowledge of Asgard besides that she was taken when she was really young. But then we get the callback scene where she's not really a baby. She's more of like a 6 or 7-year-old playing with the big wolf from Ragnarok. I totally forget her name or its name. And then some other Nordic playthings. And then suddenly just gets taken away because she's a female Loki, I guess. And that just breaks the sacred timeline.
I was just watching the Loki real quick. B15.
Hunter B15.
What was her name? Hunter B15. She got knocked out at the very beginning of the fight, so she fell backwards.
So she's
it
alive.
Looks like she's still alive. Yeah. Doesn't look like she got pruned.
Cool.
But she went out like a pansy. Unfortunately, they're just like they're two guards, and like Loki and Sylvie are like and she's like.
To be fair, she didn't have control of Loki in the first place either. He got away from her in episode 1 or 2.
Yeah.
Or 1. Yeah, episode 1.
Yeah, I guess that's true. But anyway, it was kind of sad to watch a cool character. I always hate it when a movie's just like either takes a fight scene way too far and makes it way too epic, or like they go out like a pansy, and I'm like, dang it.
One could argue that she's still reeling with the emotional trauma of the fact that she has a family or a life that she was taken away from, and or the fact that there's a power imbalance that they have to kind of settle with, where she's a TVA worker who has dealt with many different variants, her being a variant as well, but she's also fighting alongside with two Lokis who are known for being conniving master fighters, and so like, how are you going to reconcile that with also TVA guards who are stationed with the Timekeeper clockwork drones or whatever? So I don't know.
I don't know. Let's continue on that Owen Wilson thing though, because the that was my favorite part of it. We almost got 2 wows. We almost got it. It was a how and now, which isn't quite
just
a wow.
Cut it a certain way and get wow.
I know. It was like, oh, come on, just give him 1 wow, please.
Hopefully he's on a jet ski. So whatever. Are they all? That's another question. Are they all in their own spaces? Like, so does Loki have Manhattan, and then he's got beach with all a bunch of other Owen Wilsons, and then there's
all the ones who left rings on the.
This just opens questions to: is there a whole entire world of Tony Starks that are variants as well, and they have their own, like, I don't know, maybe it's destroyed Malibu mansion that they're hanging out in, or something like that.
So this is a theory that I saw online, and I think I agree with it, and we'll see how it plays out. The sacred timeline is not the only timeline. There are still a multiverse of timelines, but the TVA and the Timekeepers have made sure that none of the other timelines will touch their timeline, their sacred timeline. And so there are all of these other multiverses still, but they're kept in check by the TVA, because anytime one of these other multiverses tries to interact with the TVA or the sacred timeline, the TVA, prunes it and takes care of it. So that introductory shot with Miss Minutes showing how timeline works, like, there's the one sacred timeline, but there's also the multiverse of other parallel timelines that are all still interacting with each other. Yeah. But we're just the sacred timeline's being kept sacred or whatever, and just having no interactions with it, which lends credence to the idea that there are tons of Tony Starks, there are tons of Owen Wilsons, there are tons of all of these characters all over the place in different stages of what they are, right? So Sylvie, I guess, is a female version of Loki from an alternate version of Asgard, right? And somehow she got on the wrong timeline or something, or her timeline.
She was on the sacred timeline, but what happened is they had to, which is pretty crazy, they had to prune her, they had to take her out of there, and then they set a charge in Asgard, which then reset it back to, like, right before Odin goes to Jotunheim.
Ew. Okay.
And gets Loki. It again, there's so many open. I think they're almost jumping the shark at this point in terms of, like, trying to explain this. In which I think that's maybe the beauty of the multiverse, is it's hard to explain and or impossible in a way. You can only get so close, but there's still little crevices that things can sneak through, little caveats that you can't really explain. And so stuff like, okay, so Sylvie was technically part of the sacred timeline, but then they had to reset that back to the beginning because it wasn't the right Loki for some reason. Yeah. Because I guess, I don't know.
That's weird.
The Timekeepers deemed that Loki has to be a male.
But somehow there are 4 Lokis all at once in New York.
There should be an infinite, right? Because you said
right. Well, no. So there are the infinite, but I'd imagine on each one of these multiverse timelines, there's pretty much only 1 Loki per timeline before interactions and stuff, and so somehow there is inter-timeline travel outside of the TVA, right?
Yeah. Also, it's kind of weird to think that the TVA gives these very, very powerful pruning sticks that allow these variants that they've mind-bended or basically, like, indoctrinated. They give them a stick that allows you to transport a person to another dimension or multiverse, which is a little bit scary, right? Because there's so much power in the hands of a stick, or like in the object of a stick that a variant is holding. Like,
You just touch it. And
these
since it's a
people
physical
are
object, it
dumb
can be lost, and they are
idiots. Also, do you think that the timekeepers actually look like what they were portrayed as their
No.
little clockwork drones? I
think
like
it's-
their
I
design.
think it's one guy. I think it's one guy.
Okay. I kind of like
I
the
don't think
idea
there's
that
three
it's
of
like
them.
3 different beings, and what I dug about their design is they didn't look like anything we've seen before. Like the middle
True.
guy was like kind of blue, almost like a Kree, but he was a little bit
Mm-hmm.
scaly and warty. You're like, okay, and then the second guy, different voice modulation and a little bit more octopusy, I guess, like very tentacle type of stuff, like Davy Jones. And then the third one's almost like a frog, or maybe I'm mixing up the 2 and 3, but it's like frog, octopus, human, lizard
they're-
human.
Lizard fishy things is what I was thinking when I was seeing
Mark
those.
Zuckerberg. Basically, oh goodness, ASMR with Nick and Sweeney. Here we go.
You know me.
Oh jeez. Yeah. So, who knows? What do you think is
Dude,
going to happen in the next episode?
Yeah, I think that's the big question going forward. A lot of times when I watch a movie and I've seen like the trailers, I'll kind of have this mental checklist of like trailer moments that I'll be watching for, and I'll know when a movie's almost done based on like, oh, I've seen most of the trailer moments, right? There's kind of one more big trailer moment that I'm waiting for, and I think we'll see it in the next episode, episode 5, where we have Loki, the running for president Loki, in like the Loki bar. It looked like a room full of
Bunch of people
Lokis.
going to stab
Yeah.
him or whatever.
Exactly, yeah.
That's like my biggest gripe with trailers now is I don't want to be spoiled about big moments that are either comedy or climactic types of stuff. Like there's one scene in the trailer where it looked like Loki was talking with Natasha Romanoff. I'm like, they're gonna bring Nat into this? Instead, it's the scene at the beginning of episode 4 where it's actually Sylvie and she's just lit a certain way that she looks like she's got red hair, and it looks like the Soul Stone planet with the pool, but instead it's just the same planet that we were on in episode 3.
Yeah.
So
I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. Where I want this to
I
go,
hope so.
I don't know. Every single week, I'm like, oh, well, obviously it's gonna go here, and then it's like left turn, and then go somewhere else.
At this point, I'm expecting Thanos in the next episode to just be like wearing
Just
a party
room full
hat.
of Thanoses.
Yeah, there's a whole multiverse of Thanoses. Like,
Oh my
or
God.
at least like I don't know. Again, I don't really. Maybe I don't understand this either because like it's just like a whole bunch of Lokis in Manhattan, but like, is that like just one version of Manhattan? Like all these Lokis are traveling in groups to different multiverse areas of New York or whatever, or like is this just like the other multiverse reality? Like, is there just 2 timeline type of things where there's one that's just garbly gook of every single variant of Loki and Tony Stark or whatever, and then there's the sacred timeline? Or what are we looking at? Or is it just like multiple different ones that you could travel in one of them, but the other one you can't really do much?
I almost imagine that we'll have, like, this whole thing is setting up Phase 4, right? And I think Phase 4, the conflict with Phase 4 is going to be TVA, or maybe not TVA, but whoever the timekeeper guys end up being, whoever's controlling the sacred timeline versus the multiverse. I think we're going to get to see a multiversal war where we get to see the people of the multiverse kind of come together somehow and try to
chaos.
fight chaos.
I think it's all chaos over there in the multiverse land. Like
I don't
no
know.
one
Well,
really
like,
cares. It's like
No.
the Wild West, really.
I'm sorry, not like everyone rise up together, but like get the Loki from the classic Loki and the Thanos from World 95 or whatever, who's at the bar drinking his sorrows away. Like get these characters that we know as multiverse characters. Have you seen The Flash? Like when they start pulling off like World whatever.
Earth 2,
whatever.
Earth 5,
Earth 2,
Earth 67.
Well, yeah, but when they have like all of the, who's the guy in the wheelchair? Anyway, that guy.
Harrison Wells.
Harrison Wells, yeah, that's the guy's name. When they have his character,
All the different Wellses.
yeah, like they had like an episode where there's like two Welleses at the same time, but like
There's
they
one episode where
have
they had all the Wellses. There's like at least
all
like
the
5
Welleses?
or 6 different Wellses.
Okay. Yeah, that's the
was
one
it
I'm
the
thinking
Council
of.
of Wells? I think is what they had. And like they
Yeah.
had Sherlock Wells. They had.
Yeah, they did, didn't they? Oh my gosh, that was so cringy.
It's been a while
but like
since
if they
I've
do that,
watched. Yeah.
if they do that, that'd be pretty fun. Like, but they're all fighting against the timekeepers, trying to free the sacred timeline. I guess I don't know. And like I think somehow the sacred timeline is going to be cast as like a bad thing.
Yeah.
That's the feeling that I'm getting.
It could be
It kind of
like
has
that,
been,
almost
but-
like we're trying to keep it pure, and everyone's like, "You idiots."
Yeah.
Come
Look
on.
how fun it is out here. We have an alligator Loki here.
I really hope the alligator Loki. Like, there's a voice that was talking, but we didn't see what character's coming from. I don't think it was Robert E. Grant's voice. I totally forget the line at the end, but I hope it's the alligator that was talking. Because if we have a
Just, like,
talking alligator
telepathic.
Loki, that would be astounding. It's almost like a callback to where, what was it? Thor was talking about how Loki turned him into a snake, or he turned himself into a snake and scared Loki and stabbed him or something like that. It's almost a light callback, in my opinion, to that. Like, oh yeah, Loki turned himself into a snake. What if this is the reality, or like one of these realities was where Loki turned himself into an alligator and couldn't turn himself back?
That would be funny.
Oh my goodness.
I don't know. I'm so excited. Like it again, 8 out of 8, mind blown. I don't know what else to expect from this. Like I guess that one of the trailers says expect the unexpected. And while I was watching the trailer, I was like, oh, every movie ever, expect the unexpected. Let me just rehash the same plot all over again. And it's like, nope.
This is delivering a whole lot more unexpected than WandaVision. WandaVision, like, you're kind of confused, but then it kind of just turns into a Marvel movie.
And once you figure out who the bad guy is, and
yeah,
okay,
and
this,
I guess we're kind of getting.
Is it Miss
there.
Minutes? Is it Miss Minutes all along?
That was kind of the theory that we're running slowly into. I think either we're chatting about it or maybe we got to it in the mid-season. It could be Miss Minutes. There's a lot of support
it was Miss
theory
Minutes
on that.
all along.
No, stop. Maybe Agatha.
I love how you're like offended by that. No, stop.
No, it can't be. It can't be Tara Strong. Tara Strong cannot be the bad guy in this. Tara Strong is.
Sorry, she's the intergalactic bad guy who's not even interstellar, intertimelines.
Intertemporal.
Bad lady. Intertemporal bad girl who's like getting all of the.
It's like Hela, but like even more conniving.
Yes.
Or it's
How is that even possible?
That's something. One last thing I want to touch on. That would have been probably the coolest timeline ever if the TVA didn't intervene. Is having Thor, Sylvie, and Valkyrie fighting off against Hela in Ragnarok. That would have been a really cool scene.
That would have been really cool.
Just with like the veracity that Sylvie has, along with Valkyrie being who she is, a very powerful warrior, and then Hela being a very conniving villain, with Thor being at his basically ultimate potential. It would have been a really cool fight. I mean, already having Loki there before was cool, but I think this episode made me more excited about Sylvie. I think during the mid-season I was expressing a little bit more disdain towards the character. I'm like, she's just going to get killed off eventually. But in this episode, I'm like, they're going to try to do something with this variant, I guess. Or at least I
don't
hope.
think she's going to get killed off. She might not be a main character going forward, but...
Yeah.
Bro, it's good.
Cool.
It's good.
Well, thanks for joining us. We'll catch you next time. Otherwise, see you later.
I've been Nick /Loki variant 8, and that's Mike. Bye.
How do you know you're variant 8?
I don't know. We just mixed DC and the Flash. I'm from World 9, and I don't know. Bye.